Today, we are going to transform this 2017 Model X to look like the newer ones by blacking out the trims. Let's get started. One way is to get it done at a professional shop, and typically what they'll do is they'll use the bulk method, and what that means is getting like just a roll of vinyl, cutting it, placing it, and then they usually use a knife or a knifeless tape to cut around it. So there's a little bit more risk, there's a lot more labor to be done, so it's a lot more expensive. The other method we're going to show is we're going to be showing you using our do-yourself method, which is computer cut. It was designed by us, and then you just kind of place it, and then you just tuck it. So there's no cutting at all. For this, I guess, video, we are going to be using a gloss black, because actually the newer Model X's have a gloss black. So first things first is make sure you clean it. This car was washed, so we're good to go. But the thing is, in this trims, you want to make sure that you have it squeaky clean before you actually get started. So I have some alcohol. I'm just rubbing the top part of it like this. This is kind of wrap stick, and you want to just put it through that microfiber like this. I'm going to go ahead and put some alcohol. And what you want to do is start from the bottom right here, and you're just going to push in. And you can also use a squeegee and go all the way out. And look how much dirt just rests in that bottom part. We just got this car not too long ago. We are going to wrap it though. So if you have any suggestions on what color you guys want to see us wrap this Model X, let us know in the comments below. But the dirt is going to prevent your vinyl from sticking properly and adhering. So you want to get rid of as much dirt as possible. I'm just using my finger and kind of pushing that rubber seal back a little bit. So just by doing that, that's how much dirt came out just from the top part. You want to make sure that you get the sides as well, okay? The sides are going to be important. So in this case, just like right here, I mean, just look at that amount of dirt. The car knows that it needs to close. I didn't actually do that, so that's kind of cool. I guess my key's right there, so it just closed on its own. That was a little scary. What if my hand was there? Before I put the vinyl on this, I just want to explain the first thing that I think a professional vinyl installer should do. They should inspect the trim. What I like to do is I just like to test how loose this trim is. I mean, some trims are super tight, so like I could barely get anything in there. So it does go kind of behind that as well. So there's a lot of areas where you could tuck behind and really cover all of that. And then in the top, you see this rubber seal is going to cover over that. So I just need to get it a little bit over that, and it'll really hide all of the chrome. So in this case, I'm going to be using the knife because I can get behind that trim. And then once I tuck everything in, I'm going to use the knife to go all the way out there. And then for this, I'm going to show you a knifeless method. You can just roll it up, and that way we can just get started. And then just get it started like that. And then from then on, just like this, and just roll it out. All right, so we got it kind of placed, not very well, but we got it placed. And that's really what we want. When you have this, when you pull it this way, it stretches it. And because you're stretching it this way, it wants to hug the edges inside. So you do want a little bit of stretch, and that will make it easier to tuck in later on. So I'll go ahead and anchor right here. This is going to be my anchor point. So go ahead and go all the way out here. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to cold stretch. This is called cold stretching. Cool. And notice I put it in the other panel. And while I'm holding it, I stretch it just a little bit, very, very gently. I'm going to go ahead and squeegee with my fingers for that one. Just kind of work my way. We're just going to go all the way out here. And one thing I totally forgot to do is lay down my tape while I was trying to multitask. Totally screwed up. So that's okay though. I'm just going to go ahead and pull this back. Normally I would definitely use a knife for the whole process, to be honest, because I'm used to it. But I think this is still important to show you. For some cars, a knifeless tape is the way to go, like 100%. It's just no risk or very low risk. This process is a lot harder if this is your first time, but it's a lot easier to subscribe to our channel. So, subscribe to our channel. Far easier than Chrome deleting your ex. Cool. And just to break this, you just kind of pull it. What you want to do with knifeless tape usually is you want to heat it because that will actually allow it to stick a lot better. So you want to go over it. And when you do heat gun, always have it over your shoulder so it's not touching the car. All right. So you want to start getting that right above that line, right? The knifeless tape line. So I'm just kind of using my fingers to go above that. We're going to go ahead and use some heat. And just make sure that everything is good. There's this wrapper, so check this out. You just peel this off, and it looks a lot cleaner now. It looked like dirty, it looked real bad. You grab it, and you just put your finger down like this, and you pull, and it automatically breaks that string. And then from here on out, you hold the entry point right here, and then you just pull, and you want to keep it low, and you just follow all the way through, and then you just keep pulling it. So all the way, and when you get to this end, just hold it down, and this is what you're left with, okay? So I'm gonna go ahead and throw this away, and this is what happens. Now you could peel the upper part, and you could peel it, and you can see that one of the side is on this. Let's go ahead and throw that one away, and then you see the other side is still stuck right here. So this is where we pull this, and then make sure you get this out. If you don't get this out, it's going to be stuck there forever. Really easy. So why do people use this? It's called a knifeless method for a reason, right? You're not using a blade, so you have zero risk almost. I mean, you have zero risk because it's not going to damage your car. Now I have a pretty perfect line, and I could tuck that in. So let's go ahead and get the bottom stuff done. Okay, so we're going to be using a squeegee. I like using this one, and you kind of pull like this, and you want to kind of tuck it in, right? Because there's tension underneath, so you're just kind of tucking it in as much as you can, and you could kind of pull it. You're not pulling it off, you're just pulling it right to that line, and then you're using a squeegee to really tuck it, right? And then you could use the other side now to really tuck it in. So like that. You don't want to put too much pressure because you can actually cut the vinyl depending on what squeegee you use. So now that I have that tucked, you could do that one or two more times to make sure. We're going to do the cutting. In this process, it's really important whenever you cut anything, either PPF or color, you break your blade right before you get to it. So we're going to go ahead and break it. And you're just going to have a small click like this, and you're going to go all the way through to the other side. So you're not touching the paint of the car, and it should glide just like that. And I'm kind of using that back part of the thing, the trim, to guide it. So you're just gonna go all the way, and make sure you feel that it's still in that track, okay? So just to show you halfway point, just like that. I'll try not to talk while I'm doing this so I don't screw up my car. This is the most satisfying part, is peeling that off like that. Typically, we always heat it right before we cut, and then make sure that it goes back into memory, and then we cut it. Okay, so that's kind of why I was heating it earlier too. And what I'm doing is I'm kind of squeegeeing and then kind of going up, right? Because I want it to tuck. And look at that. That trim, you cannot see a single chrome. This one was a different case. We did a knifeless tape. So let's go ahead, and before we tuck that, I'm going to go ahead and do the edges. So first off, get it off here. Let's open the door all the way. All corners typically are done like this, and what you're doing is you're pulling, and then after you're cold pulling, you just kind of stretch it in. So I'm going to go ahead and just pull, and you're going to conform into that area. And then once you add heat, it'll hold it, okay? So once you add heat, you can see right here That looks pretty good. Like that ain't going anywhere. And I'm gonna go ahead, again, before I cut, I'm gonna heat again. And make sure that it's not reverting back. And for this process, the reason why we do that, and what you just saw me do, is because we're pretty much testing it, right? When it's outside and you're in the sun in hot Florida, if it gets really hot, it's gonna go back. And if it wasn't stretched properly, or if you didn't do that post heat, it's gonna just peel back and your chrome is gonna show, right? So that process is very, very hot heat gun. You check it, and then after that, you can cut it. So I'm gonna go ahead and just cut it right there. And then right here. So now your trims are covered. Since now this side is good, this is when you can start pushing that down. And the rubber trim, it gets really weird because it really wants to stick to it. There's typically a lot of dirt. So what you do is you get the backing paper of your 3M and push this down first. We got to get it started. That's the hardest part. So use your trim tool. You just put that there and you tuck it into that. So once you have that, it's not going to stick to it. And then you just kind of use your finger and your wrap stick like this, and then you kind of work your way and you just start tucking that in. So because I have that, there you go, you tuck it in, and then you kind of work your way. Tuck it in, and then you work all the way around. So you kind of, there you go. So that's working now. So let's go ahead and keep going. The other thing too is like all cars aren't equal. So like sometimes it'll be like super, like easy, and then sometimes I'll have a very hard time. So in this case, this is a Falcon door. So we're gonna go ahead and remove it from here real quick. Then I'm gonna open it up and I'm gonna stop it right here. So before I move on, let me make sure that this is tucked in. Make sure you don't forget the post heat. And look at that. That trim is done. So let's go ahead and close this. I'm not saying that all professionals do it this way, but I showed you a couple ways that's a standard practice in vinyl wrapping. So let me go ahead. And now that that's done, let me show you how our do-yourself kit works. And it's gonna be far faster. So first off, we actually have, a box that says driver trim. And you just open it up. And we are going to, if you watch the video, we have several trims. And it is in a template like this, so everything is cut. So I'm gonna go ahead and unravel this. And you can see that this is just all perfect like that, right? And there is a little bit of stretch that you want, just like we did. You want just a little bit over like that. And this is cut in I guess like sections. And the reason why is when you have a big piece, it's hard to work with it. You saw I rolled it in. You're gonna go ahead and peel that first part, and you're gonna go ahead and just lay it out. Boom. And you can use your fingers, right? Just like that. You're gonna go ahead and use the squeegee, and as you tuck it in, completely hidden. And then in this case, since you do have that rubber seal, you want to use a tool like this, or we actually give a pink squeegee, which we call the little chiseler, and that's what you use to tuck this in. So next section, I'm going to go ahead and peel that and just work my way. Use my fingers like that. And the next section, go ahead and pull just a little bit, just like that as well. And then next section, and look at that, it's a perfect fit. And you want to go just a little bit over, and then there you go. And we're going to go ahead and squeegee it through. Right, so just squeegee all the way, and then after that we can start tucking that top, okay? And before you do that, you want to make sure cool. You want to post heat and make sure that we get it all. Cool, so as I get here, this is where it gets fun, because it's the edge right there. And for this, you know, you just need to pull it out just a little bit and then push that in. And you can use that same technique I showed you earlier, but you do want to lift that up a little bit and push that in. And let's go ahead and use our tool over here. And by tucking this in, this ain't going anywhere once you tuck it in all the way in like that. Look at that, that's not going anywhere. So this is actually another tool that we provide in our kit. And honestly, I prefer using when you get to this area because it's so much stronger than my green tool that I was using. So you do the same thing. And look at that. So the whole trim is completely tucked, just like that. So for the edges, what I like to do is I heat it up just a little bit, and then I just start with the corner like that, and then I just tuck it in. Okay? Cool, so I got that side, and I'm gonna go ahead and do the same thing for the other side, right there, and then I just fold it over, and all my trims are hidden. I'm gonna go ahead and give it a post heat on both my bulk and then my template. So there you have it. That's the difference between doing a bulk like I showed you here and then using our do-yourself kit. But if you have any questions, let us know in the comments below and share this with all your Tesla friends who don't have Chrome deletes. I gotta finish the rest of the car, so I'm gonna get to work. I'll see you later.